Peter, the fallout from Snowden continues.
Hard to believe, Betty, that it's been a year since he became, as you said, a household name, went public with his story. But a lot has happened in that interim period. Edward Snowden has sparked an international debate over the balance between national security and civil liberties. He's put the United States on the defensive in that debate. He's also triggered changes here in Washington, proposals from the Obama administration and from Congress to change how the NSA does business. That's a work in progress right now. And there's been a business impact as well, Betty. As you know, tech companies say they've been tainted by all the debate over American surveillance programs. It's hurt their business overseas as they've been seen as conduits for the federal government. That's created a much more adversarial relationship between U.S. tech companies, some of the biggest in this country, and the federal government. That's a tension that would not be there if it hadn't been for Edward Snowden stepping forward a year ago.
And Peter, there are certainly that's the case, but there are also proposals to change the surveillance programs, but just proposals right now, right? No action.
Yeah, that's right. There really hasn't been that much concrete change so far as a result of Edward Snowden, but that could be changing even in the next few weeks. You had the president stepping forward in January outlining some changes that he'd like to see with the surveillance programs. The big idea there being, Betty, the end to bulk collection. No longer would the government collect all those phone records out there. Instead, he wants the private sector, the phone companies, to hold on to those phone records and let the government search them under court order after the fact, if you will. That's where Congress is heading right now. There's a bill that's passed the House of Representatives, but there's some problems already surfacing in the Senate with this same idea. And one of the problems is the phone companies don't want the responsibility. They don't want to have to hold these records themselves for the government. And the other thing is, Betty, they don't all save the same thing. Not all this information may be in the format that's readily usable by the government. So that's one issue. And then there's the civil liberties issues as well. There are real problems with the language in the House bill. Civil liberties groups and some of the tech companies say it's still too broad. There's still a backdoor to bulk collection. They don't think it's good enough, and that's where the tension is right now up on Capitol Hill and between the tech companies, the civil liberties groups.
Well, you mentioned the tech companies, Peter. I mean, what about the business impact on them?
Well, they say it's real. I mean, they point to Brazil getting rid of Microsoft Outlook, for example, within government offices. China looking at the use of IBM servers at Chinese banks. These, the tech companies say, real impact on their bottom line. And there have been some estimates out there. By 2016, there's one estimate that it could cost the cloud computing business $35 billion. Others say it could be as much as $180 billion. Betty, we're talking about real money here. And you can see why it is they're so concerned about the federal government right now and that relationship going forward.
You can imagine.